I'm Dr. Morrow, Janice Morrow with American Mood Swings. We're producing the show. It's a docu-style show on mental health. My guest today is Sean Perry with We Are Hope. Let's talk about the mission of We Are Hope. Now we know the why.
Yeah, so the mission is to make sure that everybody has access to mental health supports, right? I mean, that's just the long and short of it, right? We want to make sure that everybody has affordable access to supports. And we do that by, one, meeting people where they're at, right? And how do you meet people where they're at? You meet them on their phone, right? Because that's where everybody's at. Right? So we were one of the very first organizations in the US to be a complete virtual mental health organization. So when we started this company, we were a virtual company. So our very first client was living in Georgia. Then our next client was in Texas, and our client after that was in Rhode Island. And we were meeting these kids on their time schedules, worked with our time schedule, and we could meet them any time of the day, any time of the night, anywhere that they needed support. So that was the really great thing about it. The idea again was to create access to people that didn't typically have access, right? And make sure that everybody has it. But then also, how do you make it affordable? If you want to make sure that all people have financial access, you have to set it at a price point that is comparable, right? And if not less than what the standard is in our society. And so what we did was, James and I took a look at the standard copayment, right, for insurance, right? And so the standard copayment for insurance is roughly about $50. And if you got a cheaper copay, because I've looked at some other ones, it's like $30. So if you get to the cheapest, you're looking at like a $30 copay for like an office visit, a $30 copay for this. So we're looking, and I said, well, if we're seeing people for a half an hour per session, let's use the rate of $17.50.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
That puts us at $35 an hour, but we're not seeing anybody for an hour. We're seeing them for per half hour session. And that is an affordable, what we believe would be an affordable rate for roughly anybody, right? So if you're the masses, right? So that's the virtual kind of private pay coaching model that we have. Now, when we have the in-school model, how do you reach the masses of students? Well, you reach them inside of a building at school. That's where they all are, or at least the majority of them that aren't playing hooky, right?
Yeah,
so
that was me. For sure.
So
at least in junior high and high school.
So how do you make that affordable to families in school? Well, you make sure that the family doesn't have to pay for it. And so our services are virtually free, or I shouldn't say virtually. They are free to a family when we're contracted within that school district or within that specific school, because the school picks up the tab and the family and the child get the services for free.
Tell us, walk us through what happens at the school when We Are Hope. So a school contracts with you, and now what happens from there?
So if a school contracts with us, it's typically 6 hours a day, and we hire the coach. We bring the coach in, and that coach is then is able to see 12 students a day.
Wow!
So they see students for roughly a half an hour every single day for 5 days a week, for roughly 60 to 90 days, depending on the progress of each student. Then we rotate as one student is progressing in the program and doing well and they're ready to graduate. Then we start working with our whoever our lead is in the building, and we get another student into the caseload, and it rotates all year. So if you have 12 students on their caseload to start, that may flip 3 times in 10 months.
I see. Okay.
Right. So it might flip 4 times in 10 months. You might have 1 or 2 students that stay on their caseload all 10 months in the school year, right? Because they're just struggling with some other stuff and they need consistent support. And the school's like, nope, we want you to keep seeing them, which we get every once in a while at some of our schools. But for the most part, there's a constant rotation every few months of new students coming in. And that contract that says that we're supporting 12 students at a time then turns into 46 students for the year.
Wow.
In one school. So think about the impact that has in a community when you're there within that community over time, and you're supporting 46 students individually this, in this 1 year. They're getting 5 days of support for half an hour every day. And then all those other students that have higher needs, that need a school psychologist and this one and that one, they're actually able to get those services more frequently, or they're more readily available because other students with minor things aren't tying those individuals up to support them.
Oh, interesting.
So we consider ourselves an organization that goes into schools and fills in the gap. We see a student more in 3 months than a therapist would ever see them in an entire 12 months, because we see them every day.
That's amazing.
And that's why we chose the life coaching model, because it allows us that freedom and flexibility to be able to see a student once a week or 7 times a week. And there's no restriction to it, because it's all about coaching that individual through the struggles that they're struggling with.